I'm Patty Dellinger with the Lincoln County Soil and Water Conservation Office.
And I'm Danielle Rudisell with the Natural Resources Division of the Soil and Water Conservation Office.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about land disturbance. Some people say grading or clearing a lot, and we're going to get some clarification from Danielle about what goes on and what type of permits or plans may be needed. So first of all, Danielle, we hear always in our office people talk about land disturbance, clearing or grading. Is that all the same? And if so, can you help us understand more about what land disturbance really means?
Actually, they are not the same. So the Sedimentation Pollution Control Act of 1973 and our local ordinance for erosion control states that any use of the land that results in a change in the natural cover or topography that may cause or contribute to sedimentation is defined for land clearing. So in this respect, we would count something even as small as removing trees on your property as land clearing.
Let's just say that I want to build a house on a half-acre lot. What do I need to do first?
So the first thing you would want to do in any situation where you think you're going to disturb land is to contact our office. And we can walk you through the permitting and planning steps of the process. You may need a permit, you may not, just really depends on your project.
Well, with that being said, so I said half an acre. What if I'm going to clear over an acre or have land disturbance over an acre? What do I need to do first there?
So any land disturbance over one acre or more in North Carolina requires an approved erosion control plan designed by an engineer or a registered landscape architect prior to any of the land disturbance taking place. Otherwise, you could face civil penalties of up to $1,000 an acre.
Okay, so what if, let's just say someone was not aware of the need to have a sedimentation erosion control plan and they clear over an acre? What happens then?
We would begin by educating the landowner about the rules and regulations as well as the purpose of the civil penalty that is being assessed. We would work with them to achieve compliance by going over the required processes for submitting an erosion control plan and obtaining proper approvals. Once we've received an approvable plan and the penalty is paid, we would monitor and inspect the site for erosion control compliance based on the new plan.
All right, Danielle, you called the landowner out of compliance and issued a penalty or a fine. The landowner did have a licensed grader or builder working on their land, but they didn't tell the landowner about any type of plan requirements. Who would be responsible?
Unfortunately, the financially responsible party is the person who would receive any civil penalties. This is typically the landowner or developer. They are responsible for following all regulations and holding their contractors or subs accountable.
You stated that anyone clearing over 1 acre would need an approved sedimentation and erosion control plan. Does this rule apply to all land disturbance such as agriculture?
So agriculture and forestry is actually exempt from the Sedimentation Pollution Control Act in the fact that they do not have to have the same erosion control measures in place. They do have to prevent on their own property any measures or any sedimentation going into water bodies and traveling to their off-site neighboring properties. However, it's not something that we enforce on. They are required, if they're going to disturb large amounts of property for ag or forestry, to come into our office and obtain what's called an ag exemption form. And it just lets us know that there are ag-related projects going on their site and that they are exempt. But that way we would have it on file in case anybody called in.
Okay, I'm sure there's a lot of people like me. So I'm standing here on a lot that has land disturbance. How would I even determine how much land I'm disturbing?
So the thing you would want to do first, of course, like I said earlier, is to call our office and we can help walk you through that permitting process. But part of your calculation needs to include any land that will be disturbed. So you would have to include the area for your construction entrance or your driveway, you would have to include all the land that will be disturbed for your pad for your building, and any on-site locations for sewer lines and wells and septic tanks.
Okay. So for clarification, if I'm just going to be doing a half an acre, what is the name of the permit and how much money do I have to spend for that?
So any residential permit that's less than an acre of disturbance is really just a single lot erosion control permit. It's a $50 permit. You can get them in our office. The ideal way of doing it is to obtain your permit and then come out to the site and prep it for construction. And what I mean by prepping is the first thing you're going to do is install your construction entrance, and then you're going to install all your protective measures, and then you're going to strip the inside of the lot and then pad up your building pad.
Okay. So for further clarification, over an acre, what do I do? What would I need to do if I'm going to clear, and I know I'm going to clear over an acre?
So if you're going to clear over an acre, you would want to reach out to a registered landscape architect or an engineer, someone who could design, according to the state design manual for erosion control, an erosion control plan for your site. Once they've designed that for your site, they would need to submit it to our office. It would go into the review process, which is up to a 30-day review, and you would get your approval. And then once that approval is obtained, you would need to have what's called a pre-construction conference on the site with your grader, your builder, whoever your general contractor is going to be doing the erosion control installment, and the owner.
How much am I going to have to pay for the plan review?
So plan review for anything 1 acre or more is $200 per acre of land disturbed. So if you're sitting on a 2.5 acre lot, we round up, so that's going to be 2.5 acres disturbed, and you're going to pay a $600 review fee.
Is that the same amount that I'm going to pay a surveyor or engineer to develop the plan, or is that separate?
So they would contract that work out separate, and that would be based on whatever their current fees are.
Danielle, what should a homeowner be prepared to install as far as erosion control measures on their property?
So the whole goal for erosion control is to protect water bodies, roadways, and neighboring properties from the sediment that's on your site, which means we want to keep all the sediment on your site. We don't want any of it to leave during the process of construction. So we need to protect the low-lying areas, and a good measure to use is silt fence, which you've seen this black fencing on construction sites, and it goes in the lower areas, and it's just designed to filter the sediment out when stormwater runs off the site. It lets the water go, but it holds the sediment back on your site.
Another measure that we require is a construction entrance. This is a 50-foot in length gravel driveway. It is 12 foot or wider and at least 6 inches deep. They are designed with the purpose of clearing mud from the tires of the construction traffic exiting the project site. This is to keep the road clean.
And another thing that we typically see within a subdivision that has storm drains on a single lot are what's called silt sacks or silt bags. And they're installed in the actual storm drains so that when water goes into the storm structure, then the sediment is held, and then they'll empty those out so that any sediment that does happen to leave their site, they can put back on their site during maintenance of that silt sack.
For final thoughts, can you tell us what you would like for Lincoln County citizens to know before they do any type of land disturbance in our county?
Well, the main thing to remember is that our office exists. We'd be glad to walk you through the planning and permitting process so that you remain in compliance from day one of your project. Another thing to remember is anything less than 1 acre that's residential requires an erosion control single lot permit. And any land disturbance 1 acre or more, or 20,000 square foot or more of non-residential project requires an erosion control plan prior to the disturbance taking place.
Thank you for joining us today, and for any questions dealing with any type of development, be sure to give Danielle a call and she will be glad to walk you through.
There will be links provided for the information that has been discussed in this video.
Yes, and there will also be links to important documents and forms and permitting flow charts that help you figure out what permit you will need for the type of project that you have.